Chained by Dragonfire. Moonlight filtered through the cracked skylight of Varkazar Fortress, painting the dust a pale silver. Lyssandra pried a fallen beam from the shattered stairs and slid into the cavernous hall below, her cloak trailing soot. Every breath tasted of iron and old fire. The kingdom called this place cursed, but she saw potential, an ancient weapon waiting to be reborn. She would claim it and take back the crown her uncle stained with her family's blood. Her torch sputtered as she passed mangled statues, their marble faces half melted. A low hum drifted on the stale air, like a distant heartbeat in stone. She followed the sound to a domed chamber whose walls shimmered with melted glass. At its center rose a black altar wreathed in heavy chains. Within those chains knelt a man, a figure motionless as carved obsidian, hair black as pitch, limbs wrapped in metal glowing with faint ember veins. For an instant she thought him dead. Then his head lifted. Two ember gold eyes opened, ancient and scorching. Another thief. His voice rolled like distant thunder, deep enough to vibrate her ribs. Have you come to gloat over the fallen? Lyssandra's resolve faltered only a breath. I seek a weapon. The histories say Varkazar held something to kill kings. Kings? A bitter laugh escaped him. I have ended kingdoms. She stepped closer. The chains were etched with runes that pulsed when she neared. What are you? Forgotten. His gaze flicked to her torch, then her face. Yet you wear a royal crest beneath that ragged cloak. Why does a princess lurk in ruins? I am no princess. She swallowed. My name is Lyssandra. My uncle sits the throne after slaughtering my family. The captive's eyes narrowed. Alaric, I remember the bloodline. Treacherous then, treacherous now. Something in his tone hinted at old wounds. She pressed on. If you know him, you know why I need power. Power is easy. The chains rattled as he shifted. Control is the cost. Lyssandra dropped to one knee, examining a lock large as her forearm. These runes, human or dragon? Both. My jailers forged them from my own flame. His lips curled. Release me if vengeance is what you crave. I will give you power enough to burn your enemies and salt their graves. And why would you serve me? Serve? He leaned forward, restraints groaning. I will not serve. We will destroy. A chill skittered down her spine. Yet hope flared too bright to smother. She unhooked a pouch of powdered quartz from her belt, contraband she'd stolen from Alaric's alchemists, and poured a circle around the altar. The captive watched, curiosity sharpening. You read the old glyphs. Enough to break a seal. She drew a symbol with chalk, whispering the syllables of unbinding. The runes flared crimson, then sputtered. A pulse of heat blasted her backward. Chains shrieked, snapping one by one until they slithered off the man's body like slain serpents. He rose in a single fluid motion, towering above her. Ashen sparks danced along his skin, fading into the silhouette of broad shoulders cloaked in shadow. Name, she said, steadying her breath. Kaldur. His amber gaze glowed brighter. Prince of the Elder Flame. Last of my kin. She sensed truth knotted with hatred. You're free, she said, half in awe, half in dread. No. He lifted his wrists where broken shackles still glimmered. A dragon enslaved once never roams unchained again. His gaze fixed on her. Unless another chain replaces the first. He stepped into the quartz circle she had drawn. The powder ignited, swirling upward into a fiery ring. Lyssandra backed away, alarm thundering inside her chest. What are you doing? Ensuring I am never betrayed a second time. His voice softened, lethal. By fire and blood, I bind our fates. Flame spiderwebbed across the floor, racing toward her boots. It coiled up her limbs like feral ivy, hot yet painless. She tried to scream, but heat stole breath. Symbols branded themselves onto her forearms, glowing then, sinking beneath skin. When the fire vanished, she collapsed to her knees, heartbeat wild. Kaldur crouched before her. "Rise, Lyssandra, the chain is forged. Your pulse is mine. My flame is yours." She glared, fury stoking courage. "You said you'd give me power, not enslave me. Bonding is the only language dragons trust." He offered a hand. "Kill me if you dare. You will die with me. Hate me, and your heart will tear itself apart." His fingers brushed her cheek, testing. "But wield me and you will reclaim your throne." She slapped his hand away. "I will wield nothing bound to me in chains." "Then learn quickly," he murmured. "Because your uncle will hunt you and now he hunts me as well." A distant rumble echoed through the fortress as though fate agreed. Lyssandra staggered upright. Every beat of her heart tugged at an invisible thread linking her to him. She sensed his breath, felt his simmering rage like coals beneath her ribs. "I want Alaric's head," she said, voice low. A spark of respect flashed in his eyes. "And I want his bloodline erased. Together, then." He extended his arm, veins glimmering ember red. "Swear it." She hesitated, then gripped his wrist. The contact seared a vow into the air. Vengeance shared. Heat flared up their joined arms before settling into a fierce, thrumming bond. When she released him, the world felt colder. Footsteps clattered in distant corridors, soldiers searching the ruins. Kaldur inhaled, the scent of prey sharpening his gaze to molten gold. "Your uncle's scouts." He smiled, showing a hint of fang. "Shall we greet them?" Lyssandra retrieved her dagger. "Lead the way, monster." He turned, black hair sweeping over his shoulders, stride fluid as smoke. She followed, pulse synced to his. Each blink, each breath flickered through the tether, making her dizzy. She hated how alive she felt. They reached a breached archway where moonlight spilled across shattered tiles. 5 soldiers advanced, crossbows up. Lyssandra recognized Alaric's crimson sigil. "Halt!" The captain barked. "Imp!" His words died at the sight of Kaldur. Kaldur's voice rolled like breaking thunder. "Lay down your arms if you value your flesh." Bolts flew instead. Kaldur lifted one hand, flames erupted mid-air, consuming the shafts. He swept the fire sideways, forming a wall of liquid ember that rushed the soldiers. Armor glowed, screams rose, and men fled, stumbling into shadows. Lyssandra stared, both horrified and fascinated. He turned to her, flame dimming in his palm. "You're bleeding," he said softly. She glanced at her shoulder. An arrow tip grazed flesh, blood dark against her sleeve. A scratch. Flame flickered in his pupils. He stepped close, lifted her chin. "You are my chain now. I keep you whole." He pressed his palm over the wound. Heat surged, painful, then gone. Fabric wove itself shut, leaving only warmth. Her breath caught. This bond, can it heal everything? Everything but death. His gaze dipped to her lips before he tore it away, jaw tense. "Be cautious." The fortress shuddered again as if impatient. Kaldur strode toward a gaping exit arch where dawn's first gray light seeped across the veil. "We leave for the southern pass. Alaric's stronghold lies 3 days beyond." Lyssandra followed, clutching her dagger for comfort. Outside wind cut through her cloak, yet she felt no cold. Kaldur's heat padded her skin from within. They descended a jagged slope amid burnt pines, silent except for the rhythmic echo of 2 hearts unwillingly matched. At the valley floor, a ruined watchtower lay in cinders. Kaldur paused beside a charred beam. "This wasteland was once orchards. My flame did this long ago." She detected remorse beneath the stoicism. "Why tell me?" "Because you bound yourself to the monster who wrought it," he said. "You should know my sins before you stake your future." She met his gaze. "I have my share of sins. Let's add more." His blood included. She pointed east, where a faint road curled over blackened hills. We ride through there. We walk, he corrected. Your uncle's spies infest every road, and I have not stretched my wings in centuries. His voice lowered. Besides, distance allows the bond to root. She scoffed. You want roots? I want freedom, he said, eyes dark. But to earn it, I need the chain to hold. Walk with me, Lyssandra. Hate me for now. Hate fuels survival. As dawn spread a bruised pink over the ashes, Lyssandra fell into step beside Kaldur. Their shoulders brushed, the contact charged and unsettling. Each time she edged away, the tether tugged, urging closeness. What happens if I run, she asked. You will only circle back. He tapped his chest. The chain anchors you. Then cut it, she snapped. My flame would gut us both. He halted, turning to face her fully. Understand, Lyssandra. The chaining rite is not slavery. It is covenant, shared fate. And if one breaks it? Both burn. His eyes glimmered with something like sorrow. I learned that once. She inhaled, tasting smoke and regret. Someone broke your bond. She used me, then bound me to this earth with iron and magic. His tone softened, rage cooling to something brittle. I was not her equal, only her weapon. Lyssandra's voice drifted. I will never treat you as a weapon. He tilted her chin again, gentler now. Nor I you, but our enemies will try. Be ready. Wind sighed through skeletal trees. She realized her fingers still rested on his wrist. Embarrassed, she pulled away. But an echo of warmth lingered. They walked in silence until noon, the land shifting from charred forest to cracked salt flats dotted with twisted pillars of basalt. Somewhere beyond those pillars lay the remnants of villages torched in the dragon wars. Lysandra's anger sharpened, vengeance felt righteous beside him. By dusk they reached an abandoned chapel. Broken stained glass littered pews, throwing shards of crimson, sapphire, and emerald over dusty floorboards. Kaldur nudged a bench aside, clearing space near a crumbled altar. Rest, he said, the bond strains you. I'm fine. The lie sounded thin. Her limbs trembled from heat exhaustion she refused to admit. He sighed, an ancient sound. Sit. He knelt by the altar, gathering remnants of votive candles. With a flick of his fingers, small flames danced atop melted wicks, casting soft light across his sharp features. Eat, he added, conjuring a pouch of dried fruit from his cloak. Dragon's hoard. She accepted the food, hunger overriding pride. After swallowing a mouthful, she asked, Why keep such things? I hoarded jewels once. He smiled wryly. Lessons learned. Gems cannot comfort. Food can. She studied him. In the flicker of candlelight, shadows clung to jawline and cheekbones, highlighting the faint shimmer of scales beneath skin. He seemed both terrifying and lonely. She pushed the thought aside. Tomorrow we find supplies, maybe horses. Horses fear my scent. He leaned against the altar, arms crossed. We go on foot. Shadow passes, hidden roads. She rolled her eyes. You sound like a smuggler. He chuckled, a low rumble. Centuries of captivity gave me time to imagine every escape. Silence fell, not awkward but thick with unsaid things. Lyssandra's gaze drifted to his hands, strong, elegant, scorched by runes. She imagined those hands forging the bond, sealing her fate. Heat flushed her face. She looked away. Kaldur broke the quiet. Your eyes, they storm. He leaned forward. What do they see now? Chains, she whispered, surprised by the truth spilling out. But not iron ones. Yours. He exhaled slowly. Mine see fire around you, yet it does not consume. That is new. The candles flickered, their flames bending toward the pair like flowers to sun. Lyssandra felt the tug, power urging closeness. She swallowed. Kaldur, if we must share fate, teach me to bear it." He reached across the space, fingertips brushing her forearm. The bond thrummed, delicious and terrifying. "I will teach," he murmured, "but the lessons are harsh." "I can bear harsh." Her voice steadied. "I was born a princess and made an exile." His expression softened to something dangerous and tender all at once. "Then learn this first. Never fear my fire." He opened his palm. A small flame blossomed, rose-colored and gentle. He cupped her hand beneath it. The warmth settled into her skin without pain, pulsing in time with her heartbeat. "Feel it," he said, "your pulse and mine." The flames entwined, weaving tendrils around their joined hands. Her breath caught. Power trickled through her veins like heated wine, dizzying. Kaldur's voice dropped. "The chaining rite binds blood and soul. We sense each thought if we choose to listen. Close your eyes." She obeyed, nerves quivering. She felt his mind brush hers. Whispers of stone prisons, rusted chains, endless night. She offered him memories of her own. A throne room painted red with her family's blood, Alaric's cold smile, the hollow ache of exile. He inhaled sharply. "Your pain, it burned sharper than mine." "Pain forged me," she whispered, "and flame forged me." He let go, the candle flames settling back. "Together we are something new." She opened her eyes. "Then we forge Alaric's ruin." He nodded. "Sleep now. Tomorrow our vengeance wakes." Lyssandra lay on a dusty pew, cloak pulled tight. Across the chamber, Kaldur sat in shadow, golden eyes watchful. As sleep tugged at her, the tether thrummed, a soft lullaby of flame. She dreamed of walking through darkness, Kaldur's hand in hers, sparks falling like snow. In the dreams, she was not afraid. She woke before dawn to find him standing by the shattered window, watching the first gray hint of sunrise. He sensed her stirring and spoke without turning. "Night whispered our fates," he said quietly. "Do you regret releasing me?" She approached, the bond humming a gentle welcome. "Regret binds the past. I chose the future." He turned, embers smoldering in his eyes. Dawn's light kissed the edges of his silhouette, revealing faint cracks of gold beneath scales. "Then we walk into it together." He reached out, waiting. Lyssandra placed her hand in his. Heat coiled through her fingers. Unwanted, necessary, thrilling. As she stepped beside him onto the broken threshold, the world beyond awaited. White sun rising over black earth. Two souls, chained by dragonfire, marching into vengeance. The sun climbed a sickle-shaped track across the sky as Lyssandra and Kaldur trekked the salt flats. Wind sent white dust skittering across cracked ground, stinging her cheeks. Each mile lengthened the tether between them until she could sense his thoughts as faint echoes, like hearing the sea in a shell. It unsettled her at first, then became a comfort she pretended to resent. Near dusk they crossed into a desiccated orchard where bleached trunks leaned like gravestones. Kaldur slowed beside a blackened stump, palm brushing brittle bark. "These trees once flowered silver," he murmured. "Human apothecaries prized the blossoms. I guarded the groves until betrayal came." He spoke without bitterness, as though memory itself had hollowed the pain. Lyssandra touched his sleeve. "You cared for mortals." "Some." His amber gaze drifted to her. "A few still prove worthy." She ignored the warmth that rose in her chest. Night threatened, and the barren orchard offered little shelter. She steered them toward a crumbled waystone half buried in dust. There, a broken stair dropped into a low tunnel. Cobwebs hung like shredded veils, but the air inside was cool. They settled against the curved stone wall, sharing a pouch of dried figs and jerky. In the wavering glow of his conjured flame, her exhaustion finally broke through. She slouched, eyelids heavy. Kaldur spoke quietly. "Sleep. You should rest too. Dragonfire does not tire easily." "Liar." She smiled despite herself. You nearly collapsed when we escaped the fortress. He arched an eyebrow. Dragons stumble with style. She laughed, surprising them both. The sound echoed down the tunnel. When it faded, his eyes lingered on her lips. "What is it?" she asked, pulse skipping. He hesitated, then pressed 2 fingers beneath her jaw where her heartbeat throbbed. "The chain sings louder each time you laugh." He withdrew his hand slowly, as if reluctant to lose the contact. The faint glow beneath her skin flared. She steadied her breathing. "We should find the seeress tomorrow. Alaric's spies multiply by nightfall." "Agreed." He banked the flame into a soft ember and moved to the far end of the tunnel to keep watch. Lyssandra watched his silhouette, a dark cutout against dim light, until sleep folded her under. Dreams rushed in. She stood in a hall of mirrors, each reflecting Kaldur at a different age. A guardian crowned in silver, a prisoner drenched in blood, a dragon skulking beneath stone. In the final mirror he reached for her, eyes no longer molten but gentle. She stepped forward. The glass dissolved to smoke. Their lips almost brushed before fire devoured the vision, and she woke with a gasp. Kaldur knelt beside her, hand on her shoulder. Your heartbeat thundered through the chain. "Nightmare?" "I dreamt of you," she confessed, breath shaky. "Countless versions, all alone." His expression softened, haunted. Loneliness forges monsters. He looked away. "Dawn is near. We should move." They emerged into pale light. Rain clouds bruised the eastern horizon. By mid-morning they reached what had once been a crossroads town, but now lay in sunken ruin. A lone spire of a chapel jutted from the rubble, its bell frozen mid-fall. On a stone plinth before the spire sat a woman in ash-gray robes, eyes blindfolded by silver silk, thin hands resting on a staff of twisted yew. "Selene the seeress," Lyssandra breathed. Kaldur's shoulders stiffened as they approached. The seer lifted her face to the sky, though her eyes were hidden. "2 flames cross the wasteland," she said, voice like dry leaves. "One born to scorch, one born to heal. The land trembles for the choice they will make." Kaldur addressed her curtly. "We know of the prophecy. Spare us riddles." Selene's head tilted. Dragonprince shrouded in blame, human queen shackled by blood. Power to save or ruin lies not in sword or scale, but in what you surrender. Lyssandra stepped forward. "If we embrace this bond, will it kill me?" The seer traced a symbol on the air that shimmered briefly, then vanished. "If trust reigns, flame forgives. If fear rules, flame devours." Kaldur's voice roughened. "How do we sever it?" A sigh escaped Selene, thin and sad. Severance means silence eternal. One heartbeat snuffed, the other tumbles after. No half measures. Lyssandra felt the bond pulse in her chest, echoing fear and unwanted desire. She turned to Kaldur. "We decide together or die together." His jaw tightened. "Then we walk the razor edge. Not sever, but not surrender." Selene rose. The edge narrows by sundown. North lies a ruined shrine of sunglass stone. There rests the blade called Heartsunder. If struck through the bond mark, it sunders soul from soul, ending the chain forever. Lyssandra's stomach churned. "And if we choose not to sever?" Selene's silks fluttered in sudden wind. "Then you must accept flame's final hunger. Only by joining truly will you master what hunts you." She lowered her staff. "Choose swiftly. Shadow riders scour the dunes even now." Wind howled, scattering dust. When it died, Selene had vanished. They stared at the empty plinth. Lyssandra broke the silence. "Do we seek Heartsunder?" Kaldur looked at her hands glowing faintly with bondlight. "You wish to free yourself. I wish to save us both." His voice softened. "I bound you in fear. I will find the blade and set you free if that is your will. But your curse, your vengeance, without the bond, what becomes of you?" He shrugged, a fragile gesture. "Dragons endure." She sensed the lie through the chain. You would die. A low rumble vibrated his chest, better than killing you. She grabbed his forearm. Coward, I am no damsel to barter, we face this together. Emotion flickered in his eyes. Fear twisted with hope. He lifted her palm, pressed it to his heart. Feel my resolve. A storm of anguish and longing surged across the tether. It battered her, yet beckoned. She swayed, tears stinging. Enough. She pulled back. We head north to see Heartsunder, but decide there. They set out. Clouds thickened, spitting cold rain that sizzled off Kaldur's skin. By afternoon, they reached a ridge overlooking cracked medallions of black glass shimmering with trapped lightning. The shrine lay at its center, an altar of green obsidian around which broken pillars leaned like drunken giants. Lyssandra's pulse quickened. Power throbbed from the glass ground, each step vibrating up her legs. At the altar's base lay a blade of smoky crystal, length humming, with caged stormfire. Heartsunder, she whispered. Kaldur approached, but an unseen force repelled him. Only you may touch it. She reached out. The blade leapt to her grip, lightning flaring along the edge before settling into pulsing glow. Heat licked her fingertips but did not burn. She raised the point to Kaldur's chest. One stroke through the bond mark ends us, and his breath hitched. Do it if your heart commands. Her hand trembled. The mark on his chest glowed through his shirt, mirrored by the mark on her forearm. Their gazes locked. She recalled his loneliness, his laughter in the chapel, his gentle fingers sealing her wound. Storm-thick silence stretched. The earth rumbled again, but distant this time. Hoofbeats, not thunder. Shadow riders, Kaldur snarled, Alaric's warlocks. Figures crested the ridge, half a score clad in spined armor, helms crowned with curling horns. They carried staves crackling with void fire that swallowed light. Lysandra turned, blade in hand. Decision postponed. Kaldur stepped before her, eyes blazing. The riders halted, horses snorting black smoke. Their leader raised a gauntleted fist. Surrender the abomination, he called, voice void of humanity, or drown in shadow. Lysandra's temper snapped. No more demands. She slashed the blade through air. Lightning arced, striking between the riders and shattering glass ground into glowing shards. Horses screamed, rearing. The warlocks unleashed void fire bolts. Kaldur thrust his arm forward. A shield of searing flame bloomed, devouring dark energy mid-flight. He flexed coils of fire around his fists and leapt, splitting the front rank with a sweep that melted steel. Lysandra wove alongside him, Heartsunder slicing like a comet. Where she struck, glass rose into spears impaling riders. Bondlight wrapped her, guiding each block and parry. Kaldur roared, half shifting. Obsidian scales rippled across his shoulders, claws extending. Void fire scraped his new armor but could not pierce. Their coordination felt preternatural, two bodies driven by one instinct. She sensed his moves before he made them. He felt her fear before she did, and countered. Within minutes, only cracked armor and smoking horses littered the shrine. The final warlock staggered, helm shattered. He raised a trembling staff, muttering a curse. Kaldur lunged. Lysandra saw the trajectory too late. Void fire would arc behind him and strike his unprotected back. Without thought, she hurled herself into the path. Pain lashed her spine, ice-cold, scorched by dark flames. She collapsed, vision swimming. Kaldur speared the warlock through, then whirled, catching her as she fell. Lysandra. His voice broke raw with terror. Fire pooled in his palms, but void taint spread across her skin, devouring bondlight. No. He pressed his forehead to hers. Hear me. I give you flame. Burn the shadow. She gritted her teeth. Heat roared through the tether. His power flooded her veins, searing, cleansing. She screamed, light blasting from her wound, erasing darkness in a scorching pulse. When it cleared, she gasped, alive, sagging in his arms. He cradled her against his chest. Never again, he whispered. I will not risk you. Tears blurred her gaze. Kaldur, I chose that path. As she spoke, her voice trembled with truth. Heartsunder slipped from her fingers, its glow fading. He carried her to the altar, laying her gently on warm glass. His hands hovered, unsure. Fury and relief warred in his eyes. You nearly died to shield me, he said. So did you to shield me inside the fortress. She grasped his wrist. The seer said, trust. I trust you. He breathed her name like a vow. Lyssandra. His thumb brushed the bond mark on her forearm, and warmth drummed deep in her bones. A distant crash echoed, more riders perhaps, but neither moved. They stared at Heartsunder lying dormant. The decision stands, she whispered. I will not sever us. Flame flickered under his skin, scales shimmering. The bond burned brighter, filling her with a heady rush of heat and belonging. He inhaled, voice ragged. This path may end in ashes, then let us burn together. She rose onto her knees before him. His ember eyes widened at the naked emotion in hers. The tether tightened, pulling them chest to chest. Ragged breaths mingled. Kaldur's hand cupped the back of her neck, fingers trembling. Do not tempt me beyond restraint, he murmured. Restraint has cost enough. She reached up, tracing the edge of a scale along his cheek. Flames danced between their skin, rising in spirals of orange and gold. He caught her wrist. One kiss and the bond might complete. Your life could end. Or begin, she answered and pressed her forehead to his. Choose with me. Hoofbeats thundered closer atop the ridge, but they felt far away. Heartsunder's glow flared again, reflecting kaleidoscopic light across their faces. He exhaled a shaky laugh. Courageous human, reckless dragon. Their lips hovered a breath apart as the world held its voice. His next words shook with devotion. Whatever fate forges, I stand with you. Then she closed the distance, sealing promise and peril with a kiss that tasted of smoke and sunrise, setting the bond ablaze. Kaldur felt their first kiss ignite like molten gold, a river of heat coursing from Lyssandra's lips through every vein the bond had etched. His knees threatened to buckle beneath the surge. The shattered shrine blurred, glass pillars humming, as if the world's breath caught with theirs. A distant war horn cleaved the moment. More riders crested the ridge, banners snapping black against storm-dark sky. He pulled back, breathing hard. We finish this later, little flame. Lyssandra's fingers lingered on his cheek, gray eyes blazing silver with new power. Later, she promised, voice trembling with equal hunger and resolve. She retrieved Heartsunder, its stormfire now a steady glow. Together they turned to the advancing riders, 50 strong, armored in rune-etched obsidian. At their head rode Lord Alaric, velvet cloak streaming, a crown of twisted thorns encircling his helm. His eyes glinted with triumph. Niece, he called, voice ringing across the cracked field. Your new pet is impressive. Shame you won't live to enjoy him. He raised a staff forged of dragon bone, sigils flaring violet. Kaldur's scales rippled, rage simmering. How many dragons bled so you could fashion that toy? Enough, Alaric sneered, to subdue the last monster on this blighted earth. Lyssandra stepped forward, blade raised, rain beginning to spit from churning clouds. Monster? You murdered our family, shattered the realm, and enslaved magic you barely comprehend. The monster stands in your mirror. Her uncle's lip curled. Kill her, spare the beast, I still need his blood. The front line of riders charged. Kaldur launched a torrent of emerald fire that split like a river around Lyssandra, incinerating spears mid-flight. She darted under the blaze, Heartsunder cleaving through armor with lightning-laced arcs. The chain between them thrummed louder, guiding each motion in perfect counterpoint. Where Kaldur's flame faltered, her blade flashed. Where her foot slipped, his wing of living molten shadow shielded her. Yet numbers pressed. Rune-bound chains whipped from wands seeking ankles and wrists. One loop snagged Kaldur's arm, flaring purple. A second wrapped Lyssandra's waist, pulling her backward. She cried out, the link jolting both with hot pain. Kaldur tore free, scales blistering where the binding touched. Enough. In a roar that shook rain from clouds, he surged into half-dragon form. wings unfurling to full obsidian span, tail lashing glass earth to shards. Heat swept outward, glass melting into lakes. Riders faltered, horses rearing. Alaric raised his staff, channeling void fire that slammed against Kaldur's chest in a crackling beam. Lyssandra sprinted, cutting chains with Heartsunder and leaping atop a fallen pillar for height. The staff. I'll end his conduit. Kaldur snarled agreement, pushing into the beam, shielding her advance. Void fire scorched scales, driving him to one knee, but he braced, funneling all rage and pain into a furnace inside his ribs. Flames poured from between his fangs, a counterblast of white-hot fury. Lyssandra landed behind enemy lines, cloak aflame with bond light. Soldiers swung axes. She ducked, spun, Heartsunder carving glowing slashes. The blade sang like distant thunder. She felt Kaldur's heartbeat pounding through her grip, urging her faster. Sidestep, the tether whispered, and she obeyed. Void bolt whizzing past. Lunge, it replied, and she drove the blade through a warlock's chest. At the base of the rise, Alaric tracked her with the staff, chanting a curse carved from Iron's ancient tongue. Sigils spiraled in the air like black snow. She leveled Heartsunder, meeting his eyes. You stole my life, uncle. I saved the realm from your dragon-knighting father's folly, he spat. Bow repent, and I may let you live as my puppet. She smiled, rain steaming along her cheeks. I would rather burn. He thrust the staff, unleashing a spear of void that sprinted across the ground. She raised Heartsunder. Lightning and darkness collided, shockwave flinging soldiers sideways. The staff cracked. Alaric screamed, clutching splintered bone. Heartsunder's glow surged, feeding on shattered magic. Kaldur, behind you, she sent through the bond. He twisted, tail smashing 2 riders into shards of armor, but more chains looped his wings, anchored by spell stakes hammered into glass. He strained, roar bleeding into the sky, yet the rune metal sizzled, sapping strength. Lyssandra sprinted toward him, but Alaric interposed, drawing a dagger curved like a serpent's tooth. Lightning guttered around her blade and fatigue clawed her muscles. Alaric lunged. Metal kissed metal in a screech. He pressed close, eyes gleaming, mad. You always lacked conviction, girl. Love, pity. They are shackles heavier than these. He flicked his glance toward the dragon, bowing under chains. Soon you'll beg me to spare him. Never, she hissed, driving her pommel into his jaw. He staggered, but snagged her wrist, twisting. The dagger's edge grazed her skin, a line of blood blooming. The chain pulsed. Kaldur grunted as crimson slid across his forearm. Pain linked them, but so did fury. Lyssandra twisted free, planting a boot in Alaric's chest. He tumbled backward, landing hard beside the broken staff. Her vision narrowed to Kaldur's pinned silhouette. Wings straining it, she ran, calling his name. He met her gaze, molten eyes pleading and fierce. Cut them, he rasped. Lightning licked Heartsunder's edge as she slashed the first chain. Sparks exploded, rune metal shrieking into vapor. She carved the second, the third. Fire boiled off his wings as freedom returned. He unfurled, sweeping her behind him protectively. But Alaric, bleeding and enraged, brandished the serpent dagger, chanting. Sigils climbed the knife, spiraling into the sky. A tear ripped the clouds, void swirling. From it, a colossal hand of shadow plunged, reaching for Kaldur's chest. Kaldur roared, flame colliding with void. The forces grappled midair, stalemate shuddering the ground. Lyssandra felt the bond tear at her ribs, feeding him power through her heartbeat. Too slow. She shouted above the din. Alaric drew that power from dragon blood. Then blood breaks him. Give me your fire. Kaldur's gaze whipped to her, horror and hope interlaced. If I pour it through the chain, it could sear your veins. Trust me, she cried, we share fate. For an endless moment he hesitated, then nodded once. He seized her hands, pressing them to his armored chest. Flame surged into the bond, an inferno coursing through arteries. Scorching, yet deeper than pain, lay exaltation. Her markings blazed brilliant gold, hair whipping like black banners. She raised Heartsunder high. The blade drank dragonfire until lightning became molten dawn. She pivoted, hurled the weapon in a spinning arc. It cleaved the void hand, slicing through shadow into the sky rift. The rip shrieked, folding inward. Alaric shrank away, face blanching as the shadow dissipated. He turned to flee, but Lyssandra was already there, fists crackling with residual flame. She slammed her palm into his chest, fire branding through silk and bone. He dropped, eyes wide, breath a ragged hiss. "Mercy," he rasped. "You never taught the word," she replied, kneeling beside him. Lightning danced across her fingers. She considered ending him there, but the bond whispered. Power alone could not restore a broken kingdom. Vengeance demanded justice, not slaughter. She stood, meeting Kaldur's eyes. "Bind him," she said. "Let the people judge." Kaldur nodded, summoning coils of ember chain that wrapped Alaric like living iron. The usurper gasped, but magic silenced him. Rain eased to mist. Smoke curled from scattered fires. Survivors fled or surrendered as dragon and princess faced one another amid molten glass. Heartsunder lay cooling near the altar. Lyssandra retrieved it, pressing its hilt into Kaldur's hand. "Keep it, edge of storms, heart of light. Like you." His scales faded back to skin, wings folded, though ember lines still pulsed beneath. He stepped closer, raising a soot-smeared palm to cup her cheek. "You should rest," his voice shook. "You bled for me. We bled for each other." She brushed a thumb over his lips, smiling softly. "We chose." The chain inside their chests thrummed deeper, slow, thunder of two drums merging. Heat rose, but no longer wild. Controlled, tender. He leaned in, foreheads touching. "I love you," he whispered, raw and reverent. She laughed, tears bright in rainlight. "I feared you'd never say it before I burned out. I love you, Kaldur, my monster, my match." He kissed her, gently at first, tasting salted tears, then deeper, pulling a gasp from her soul. Flame braided around them, not scorching but caressing, weaving banners of rose gold through falling twilight. In that kiss the bond sealed beyond magic or prophecy, a covenant forged in choice. When they parted, night cloaked the battlefield in quiet charcoal. Fires guttered out, leaving starlight to gleam on glass plains. "We should leave," Lyssandra murmured, hand on his chest. "Your wings long for sky." "Your kingdom first," he answered, lifting her into his arms. "Our kingdom now." He shifted, muscles rippling, obsidian wings unfurling beneath moonlight. She climbed onto his back, cloak drawn tight. With a powerful thrust he bore them into the air, wind rushing, stars whirling. The ruin of Varkazar shrank below, a scar ready to heal. They soared east toward dawn's promise, bond light glowing along her arms where they wrapped around his neck. Ahead lay a land to rebuild, thrones to write, stories to rewrite. But in that vast silver sky, the only kingdom that mattered pulsed steady between their joined hearts. Two flames chained by choice, forever unextinguished.